Hi, I'm Jeff Bermudez.
And I'm Omar Kadri.
Welcome to The Collective Journey.
Join us as we explore some of the most promising talents, thought leaders, and change influencers in our city and beyond.
As we uncover these hidden gems, I hope you'll find that they're people just like you and I, with hopes and dreams and gifts that they would like to show to the world.
It is our mission to share their work, to share their story, and to appreciate what our community is capable of producing.
This is my adventure.
This is your adventure.
This is our collective journey. Hi, I'm Jeff Bermudez, and welcome to yet another episode. Last week, we had the chance to speak to a local amateur boxer named Abdul Jouda. We spoke about his experiences growing up and how he got into the sport. Well, today we continue this and look ahead to what his plans and goals are for his young and promising career. Let's jump back in once more as we revisit our guest, Abdul Jouda. Do you have a nickname? I know it's not important.
Yeah. So I've gone through much nicknames. I'm still trying to pick one out, but I think I found one. Basically, it was given to me back home in Palestine.
Yeah.
And it's called Sharadi. That's what the name is, and it's after a bull. It's a funny story. So when I was a young kid, and it was Eid. Like if you're familiar with Eid, I'm sure you are. Basically, like my dad was outside, and I was on top of I was climbing this like rail, and there was a bull in the actual they was trying to sell it because they were about to eat it, right?
Yeah.
And I just climbed on top, and everyone was scared. It was like, oh no, this thing's on top of the bull, like he's gonna get hurt. And my dad just told me, oh, that's shitty, like that's okay, like
This is another day at the office for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
What other nicknames? You said you've gone through a few.
The butcher, because my dad was a butcher at the time. Because I love my dad's a role model, man. Like he's an icon. He's a legend, and he's really cool. So, yeah, he was a butcher. So I try to be like I had his butcher uniform. I once I walked into a fight going in. I was like, oh, I'm the butcher now. Call me the butcher, and the ring announcer announced me the butcher, and it was nice. I liked it.
How scary is that? Looking at the fight card, you're like, who's my opponent tonight? And it's the butcher.
Yeah,
and like
scary.
10 knockouts, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
What is this whole like Team Judah concept? Like when did this begin? Like did you start it right as soon as you got into boxing? Like you just knew Team Judah, or like how did this come about?
No, this happened when I took it more seriously. I've been boxing for a while. I've been getting more active, and 3 years ago, basically, I just want to rep my name, right? Like I'm repping my name, and also my family's name. That's how it goes on, right? And not only that, I'm the community, London. Everybody from London is showing support, and whenever I'm walking around in a different city, I gotta show support to the 519, London, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Team Judah is about. Ontario and Canada.
Yeah.
Being from a different country is kind of hard. To stand out and to fit into that. So, I feel blessed that I'm Canadian. So, this is my way of giving back. Hey, this is Team Judah. This is where I'm gonna try to go places and show support and show
When did you start forming a team for yourself? Because that's a pro thing, right? Well,
yeah.
All pros have their own team, all their own coaches, and that time set aside for themselves. Or when did you figure out you'll emulate what they do?
Well, I mean, I know already. I know I want to go there. So why not start early, right? Because I know I'm gonna get there. So once I get there to that level, I know I'm gonna have a bigger fan base already built.
Yeah.
So starting now is perfect because I already got my family behind me, my friends, and it's been getting better and escalating, and it's escalating a lot more to what it was before.
Can you take us through your training? How often do you train, and what's your diet like?
Great question. So I train every day. I try to run every 3 or 4 times a week, and I just meet my coach whenever I can. If I don't, I'm just in the gym working out.
Okay, and diet?
Yeah, my diet. I try my best to eat healthy as possible. My mom makes the best food of all in the world. So, it's hard to resist her food. I know everybody has
Mm-hmm.
their mom's cooking is the best, but mine's the best of all time. So it's hard to resist her food, but when I can, I gotta make weight to fight. So
all right.
that's also a priority.
So what is it, mostly protein or?
I try to cut out carbs.
Okay.
I eat a lot of rice, right? With Arabs or Middle Eastern dudes, when they eat like I don't know about my family, like we eat everything with pita bread. Like everything has to do with bread and like eating eggs. Like I used to eat eggs with bread. Like no like forks or anything like that. So there's a lot of carbs being involved. So basically got to cut all that out.
Okay.
Rice and just try to focus on the healthy stuff until I make weight, and then I can eat whatever I want.
By the way, I can't believe we missed this, but what weight class did you fight in?
69 kilograms, so 152 pounds.
152 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, people have the misconception if you say you fight at 152, that's what they think you are. What do you walk around as?
I'll let to keep that disclosed. That's private information, man. That's private information. I don't know, man. Like you hear about all these people who are like self-conscious about their weight, and like believe it or not, like boxers are like that too. At least for me, like I don't want to be like out of my weight class too much of the weight, just because like it's a harder time to get back to where you would fight at. So
not to probe, but do you find your weight cut tough, or is it pretty smooth?
Sometimes it depends on how much I take away from boxing, but sometimes it can be, yeah. But I mean, when you work hard, everything's easy. Like everything else just comes along with it. So
do you plan to move up eventually?
I fought at a higher weight class, and I don't plan to move up right now. No.
Okay. And how tall are you?
Like 5'10", 5'11", something like that.
5'10", 5'11". That's a good height for like the 150s.
Yeah.
Because that's like what Canelo weight and Triple G. They're like 155, right?
Well, Canelo weight is a whole weight himself. Like he decides his weight, but I
He's
mean, like
huge.
for that weight class, yeah, it's 155
Yeah.
to 160. Yeah, he that's what he fights at. Yeah.
Okay. Who are your favorite boxers right now? Well, give me like three favorite boxers
man, you can't
right
put me in
now.
a spot like that. I got so many.
Or okay, how about this? 3 favorite boxers right now and 3 favorite boxers of all time.
Live right now. Okay, Floyd is retired, so I can't use that.
Yeah, you can like contemporary boxer. Yeah, you can.
It's okay. I got Errol Spence.
Errol Spence.
Terrence Crawford. And probably Lomachenko. I got those guys. At least right. Like I'm just trying to name. I didn't really give that much thought, but those are the guys that I look up to and like be like, oh man, those guys are good. Like,
Lomachenko's smooth as silk, man.
Yeah, he's got like 400 something amateur fights and two Olympic gold medals
Two
back
Olympic
to
gold
back,
medals.
different weight classes. This dude has got the resume of resumes. Like he's good.
And he doesn't just like beat you; he makes you look bad.
Yeah, he makes people give up. Like he makes for world champions like give up and like quit the towel. Like I'm just like okay. Like
the one Jamaican guy, he just quit not because he was getting lit up, but he quit because he was frustrated. He was like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, they call him high tech for a reason. Yeah.
You mentioned Terrence Crawford. He's one of my favorite fighters as well. And
he switches.
That's why I wanted to bring him up. Is it, how do you? So for people that don't know, switching is going from one stance to another.
Yeah.
So when did you find that you had the ability to do that, and how did you decide that you wanted to, keep fighting that way?
Great question. I don't know, man. Like it just came up in my training. Like in training, like you'll get very creative.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to I'm always working on just making my tool set, like which is my boxing, like knowledge and technique better. Like, and if I know more stances, let's say like you're fighting a guy who's is not comfortable with the southpaw position, or you get a better angle in certain places in the fight. That's what I thought. I'm like, okay, let me try working on this, and I guess for like 4 years, I've been just slowly working on it, and in some cases in the fight, it's done great. Like they don't expect it, and I'm like, oh look, this guy's an orthodox, he's not gonna turn southpaw. Like and there it comes, and it works. So yeah.
Well, you mentioned you're a big jab guy. So
yeah,
when you go southpaw, your jab is the power hand. So that must surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
most def.
So your fan base, how do you feel that your fan base has developed from your first fight to your last fight?
That's a great question. So what that was like was actually basically when I went to fights with my coach and I would travel in a small team. It would be just me, myself, and 2 other coaches. Nobody like a big entourage coming through. It's very humble beginnings, and it still is humble beginnings, right? We would show up to an event at like the guy's hometown, and in the crowd they're all cheering the other guy's name. There's nobody from my team showing up because nobody wants to travel like 2 hours to see some dude fight, right? Like especially for an amateur level right now at least. now when I fight in my hometown, there's a lot of support, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of people coming out, and it lifts up my spirits. Like, oh, like I'm fighting for these people in the crowd, and like they're there shouting my name, and it's nice because I didn't really get that at first, so it's motivating, and yeah, it's nice having people to support you.
It kind of shows that you're starting to establish a name for yourself, right? And
Yeah, 100%.
People like to watch you. Like it probably feels really good knowing that you're inspiring others, right?
Yeah, exactly. And my coach would he has an Instagram page, and he would always like post and stuff like that. We would show up to fights or like places where boxes are, and like, hey, you're that guy from Instagram. Like, we know you and like we follow you, and I'm like, oh, like that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
you get recognized through that, which is nice.
By the looks of it, you have a few sponsors. Like, can you talk a little bit about them and like their support of you?
Yeah, shout out to all my sponsors. Let me see here. So I want to shout out to my brother first, H2. Basically, he's the one that like helped me and like even like get my first pair of boxing shoes. Like, this dude he's like, yeah, here's my old. Like, he gave me his old boxing shoes. I've used them for like 4 years, like 3 years, something like that, and they lasted me so long, so I didn't need to change or anything like that. But yeah, he got me into it. Just got me into the gym and all that. And then also, I want to shout out Pita. It's a place in London. My friend Amar owns it. It's basically a shawarma spot. I'm sure if you heard of it. It's on Warncliffe. Great food. Mediterranean food. It's got all you need. Basically, it's my mama's. It's my mama's recipes, basically. And then also Top Crew. Now they used to be called Goodfellas. Top Crew Barbershop. Al. Gives me the best haircuts in London and cleans me up before a fight, so that way I look nice and pretty, so I can put on a great show.
What would you say your toughest fight was? What could you describe that, or have you had so much that it kind of just blends in together?
Great question, man. There's so many tough fights I've had, man. Like coming out, it's let me think here. I would say in my first provincial tournament.
Yeah.
My first provincial tournament probably was one of my toughest fights recently. Reason being is because it was my first fight with no headgear. It was one of my first fights without gear, and it was my first fight in an actual like tournament where I was fighting a very competitive fighter, and it was against a guy named Dan Ryan. And this dude's an Irish guy, and he can hit like a beast. He hit me really hard, and basically I ended up losing the fight. So I was very disappointed, but I used that for motivation. I was like, okay, like he beat me, whatever, and it was in terms of like the reason why I ended up losing. I realized it was because I was very uncomfortable in the fight, and I didn't have that much confidence in myself.
Yeah.
And it was my 13th fight, and the guy had like something like 60 fights. So I was like, okay, let me work on a few things. And like my coach developed a plan, and a couple of fights later, I met him at a tournament. The same, and because I drew him the first. I drew him first time, my first fight in the tournament. It was like a 3 to 4 day tournament. And I drew him again, odds in our favor, rematch time. Drew him again the first fight in the tournament. I fight him. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to lose this guy back to back. So I ended up beating him, putting on a clinic and, performing really well, fixing those mistakes and, showing off what I've accomplished. And it's like when you fight like those kind of fights, when you lose one, and then, like, because in amateur boxing, it's like the judges are like, it's all opinion, right? So like, oh, this guy won, so you could potentially lose some. And, when you lose a tough fight and you win it like really well, it's like, oh, like it shows how much you've improved. And that's the kind of progress that you want, that I look for. It's like, oh, I want to show that I've fought this guy, that I've gone better, right? Because it's hard to track where you are just based off the number of fights, right? You want to make sure that you're fighting.
That must be exhilarating. Like,
what?
having getting beat by one guy and then like getting him again and then like doing it right the next time and correcting it. That must be vindicating.
Yeah, it's so rewarding because it's like, oh, like especially with all like the Team Judah support too. Like they realize like, oh, like they were with me through that, right? Like they try, like they realize, oh, like this happened, and then like when everybody like that was there, they knew exactly what I was going through, right? Like my coach was there supporting. Okay, like does that win meant something? Because like a lot of wins you'll win, I'm like, oh, it's like, it is what it is, right? But that win meant something because of what I went through, right? So
how much older was this guy than you?
He was, I think it was a year difference.
Oh, a year difference.
Yeah. So you can fight anybody age, like any age. So, yeah.
Do you find that the decisions that the judges make are always fair? Like,
most fights, honestly, I've agreed with them. Like, I don't know, like, Even if, let's say, like, I win a fight and I should have lost, I'll be like, I still lost. Like, just because, you know, you want to be able to perform always that you won convincingly in everybody's eyes. I hate to win a fight knowing that I thought I lost. That pisses me off more than losing, because you want to be able to win always 100%, right? That way you can walk away knowing you won. You're the better fighter that day. 100%. I've thought I've won fights that I've lost, and I thought I've lost fights that I won. I'll be 100% about that. Yeah.
And you know what? Let's cut the judges some slack, because they'll make some questionable decisions, but not a lot of them. Like I watch a lot of UFC, and I have the benefit of seeing it on a big screen, where the perspective is very nice and very friendly to the viewer. But these guys are watching it ringside or cage side, and that's kind of different. You don't see angles, or you can't tell sometimes what's happening. And isn't it that when you judge after a round, you have to put the score in. You can't go back and change it.
You can't think about it like
it's
that.
tough.
You
Not
have,
like hockey where you can like challenge it, or football, right?
Yeah, you can't. Like, you got to put it in, and then next round.
Exactly.
You can't go back and be like, well, I think overall this guy won. But if you put like this, he won this round, and this round, but overall I think this other guy won, you can't really finesse it that way.
And also, it's like, it's the way. How does this judge like this boxing? Because like, one judge will think, oh, like hitting the guy when his guard is up, that counts as winning. But when the other guy is, for example, the way I think, oh, if you got a clean shot, that counts as a point instead of like a shot that was blocked, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just the way the opinion of the judges are. But yeah, there's a lot of great judges out there, and yeah, for sure. There's
also this thing where, like, I don't know what your opinion is, but in fights, when there's a fighter, he's not doing much offensively, but this other guy is throwing a lot of punches at him, and he's dodging, he's rolling with it, blocking it. People give that guy points for being defensive. But I think the reward for being defensive is you didn't get hurt. You shouldn't be rewarded points for that.
I disagree with you.
You
100%.
disagree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
If you're just like, there's an old school fighter named Willie Pep.
I remember that. He's the 110, 120.
This dude's wild, man. This guy's, I think he's Italian or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, he had like over 200 fights. He won like 100 fights without losing. Gets an airplane crash, or gets some sort of crash, and gets in like a very bad condition. You know those big stories in the movies. Like, that happened to this guy. Came back and he fought like 100 times after that. The doctor said he wouldn't be able to fight. This dude won. Like, he told his coach, "Hey, like, coach, I'm gonna win this round without throwing one punch." And he did. He just made the guy miss and look bad the whole time.
Really?
That's all he did. Like, he just embarrassed the guy. Like, that's what it is. Like, a lot of fighters will do that. Like, you can't touch me. And, you know.
So there's a lot of strategy involved in lowering the stamina of your opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, like, but then the amateur boxing again, you
can't
do that.
you gotta get after it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a lot more like a lot more concise. You know, shorter time.
If you take like 2 rounds to figure the guy out, you have like 1 round to you have to finish him now, because you're gonna lose mathematically 2-1.
Yeah.
So if it's like 12, you can maybe take the first 3 off and then like really pour it on him after that.
Makes sense. Now, we've been talking a lot about your boxing and, you know, your interest in going pro. Are there any other sort of goals or ventures that you're trying to go after right now, like besides boxing? Like, do you plan on, for example, going to school or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I want to see if I can get to school within this year. I've taken some time off of that. I want to try to balance it out with school and boxing, you know, as well as working my job as well. And I definitely want to like try to get into like the real estate market and try to like flip houses and stuff like that. Once I've had financial freedom, of course, but that's like years down the road. For right now, I just want to get my education, get that degree, a piece of paper, and get that in the works.
What academic interests are you thinking of pursuing?
Oh, business.
Yeah. Okay, so more like, you were telling me earlier, wealth management.
Yeah, something like that I want to get into. Then just venture off from there and seeing exactly what's, you know, makes me happy.
That's good. It's good because a lot of these fighters, like they'll get into it, and you know, I get how they feel. Like, once they make it big, you've worked so hard for it, and they kind of get carried away with it and they splurge, and then after that they have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really good to be investing in your future after.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially with right now, it's like it's tough. Like right now, like when you're an amateur boxer, like you mentioned earlier, you don't get paid, right? Yeah. So that's one of the things, like, I've been boxing for so long. It's kind of like, let's say I was like to teach like personal training or something like that, like through Good Life, or just not to like just call it Good Life, or like any kind of like gym, right? And you were training for like 4 or 3 years. Like, imagine what you'd be getting paid just by like doing that kind of skill or degree or something like that for such a long period of time, and to put so much like dedication and like and all that stuff. So it's tough to see that like come by. It's like, oh, like it's not really being that rewarded within Canada or anything like that, where like you'll let's say for example, like I fought where tournaments where there was like Ireland people, like people from Ireland would come, and they got their whole trip funded from like the Ireland government, and like they paid for all the trips. So but within Canada, it's like you don't got no support. It's like you got to pay for your own like your own trips, your own registration for the fights, and even to register to even compete, or even medicals and stuff like that. You're limited to what you have, and that's why I'm very thankful for the sponsors, because of that. And I'm always looking for for more sponsorship opportunities to get me in the works to get more active fights.
Okay. Let's switch gears. You said earlier that you're always looking to expand your skill set. That you did wrestling before and like to revisit it one day.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered? No, you haven't considered any other sport?
I was gonna say no. I haven't considered. You're gonna ask you about UFC,
like
or
kickboxing, MMA, that type of thing. Would you ever branch out?
To compete, no.
To compete, no.
But to experience, 100%.
To cross-train,
I love that. Yeah, for sure. I want to be able to like defend myself and defend my family in a street fight. No, like I don't condone like street fighting. I don't think anybody should ever be in that position unless it's like self-defense, especially if you know like how to fight. But I mean, yeah, I would definitely like love to learn that. That's like definitely like one of the sports that I like to watch as well. So
speaking of street fighting, have you gotten to the point where your body's like officially registered as a weapon?
I'm not sure exactly what point that would be, but
I know that eventually like you have to do it, right? Don't you? Something like
what?
Don't you have to like?
Is that a thing?
I think I'm pretty sure it's a thing.
No, it's like your hands are considered a weapon.
I thought it was a joke.
But no, it's actually it's
true.
It's true.
If you get like right now at this point, if you get into a fight with somebody in the street, could it be considered like you're using a weapon on them?
Possibly, but I mean, I'm not like I'm not gonna ever put myself in that scenario, so I don't even think about that. So.
Yeah, you hear stories about that, like.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you gotta go back to that wrestling or the grappling. You can choke them out. You don't need to like smack them in the face.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I guess another thing we haven't really talked about is tell us about your warm up process, like before, like let's say like the 20 minutes before a fight begins. Like what is that like?
20 minutes before a fight.
Or like just like the
day of a fight.
The day.
Let's
of the
go
fight.
with that.
That's what I was.
Day of the fight.
So
okay.
tell us what it's like the day of the fight. Like what your warm up process is like.
The day to fight is I just try to like, wake up, do what I normally do. I don't want to change anything, because at the end of the day, like this fight is the fun part of the actual, like, I know it's been said before, but like it actually is true. It's like the fighting is the easy part. So if you put too much pressure on yourself, you're gonna end up falling to that pressure. And I'll be honest, I fell to that pressure before. That's one of the experiences. That's one of the roadblocks I've went through. But I try to wake up with some nice music, some sunlight if I can, some good food, some good breakfast. Get to the weigh-ins and listen to good music, whatever I like get my hands onto. That's not pump up music. I don't like to be pumped up. I like to
like relax.
Yeah, I like to be relaxed, 100% during a fight, so I can think. But I mean, other than that, just focus. Like I've said it before, focus on the game plan. That's all I think about. Okay, so I always try to get myself to be more confident. Like, I'm gonna win. I try to visualize myself winning weeks and weeks ahead of the fight. That I know. When you picture in your head, like it's already happened, right? So.
Yeah, I'm sure your coaches would like to think that there's no reason to be nervous because you've already put the work in like the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part. Like being disciplined. Like now you just have to go out and do it.
Yeah, the only time you're nervous is when you don't put in the hard work. So like when you put in work and like that you put in so much work that whatever happens, you tried your best. That's all like I care about. So.
Or if you came in with an injury, I'd assume you'd be a little bit nervous because you're not 100% or as much as you'd hope to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Any major injuries from your experiences fighting?
No, not that I can note. No.
That's good. Stay fresh.
Yeah.
All right. Have you considered like the future, like we were talking about personal training earlier.
Yeah.
Have you considered the possibility of taking the experiences that you've learned,
Yeah.
and using them to help train somebody younger than you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I train my younger brothers whenever I can. I've the past couple of years I've been personal training people. Even throughout like my years of training in boxing, whenever I have the time, extra time, I'm always training my other like, training buddies are in the gym. Like, hey, like try this out, like or do this or recommended thing, and they always ask me questions too. My training buddies, like, there's no problem with that, right? I love doing it. It's like basically teaching like something that you love to do, and it makes me happy to see people that are interested in learning it. Yeah, I have a couple of clients right now that I train on a week-to-week basis, and I love it.
Do you find that teaching other people and breaking down the technique for them helps your understanding of the sport as well?
100%, yeah. That's what that makes, and I always try to explain to them with using logic, so like that way they understand why I'm teaching them, and I'm not just trying to mimic it and like tell them how I do it. I try to tell them why and why balance is so important, and then show them how balance works and all that stuff in boxing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. For people who are unfamiliar with you, how can they begin following you?
You can reach me on Facebook. I got a Facebook page that I started out, and then also Instagram.
Okay. What are the official names of the pages?
My first and last name, Abdul, Abdul, and then Jouda, Jouda. That's for Facebook.
Yeah.
And then for Instagram, it's the same thing, but there's just a period in between. So Abdul, period, Jouda.
Would you like to plug any upcoming fights?
Yeah, I got provincials coming up the end of this month. So
Where at?
Oh, it's in Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have footage out there on YouTube? Like, what if people want to see like highlights, like a mixtape?
there's like highlights on my Instagram on there, and probably some videos on Facebook. I don't know, maybe my opponents posted or something like that. But yeah, there's mainly on Instagram. That's where I post most of like my key highlights.
And also mention the hashtag Team Jouda.
Oh yes, respect. But like mainly you can find all those highlights on hashtag Team Jouda. That's like the brand of my like whole boxing journey.
Yeah.
You can find all that. Just put hashtag like and then Team Jouda, Jouda, and you'll be able to find all those like journeys that I've went through, like wins, and like even during my training process. I have all my friends and like people who are from London use it, so I definitely encourage everybody to just post on there as well.
Do you have any like merchandise available? Are you trying to get into that sort of venture? Like, let's say like selling shirts that say Team Jouda on it, things like that?
Yeah, 100%. I have like a brand right now of Team Jouda t-shirts, and all the funds are just go towards like just towards my boxing journey, like just traveling and even going to events. Yeah, so I got a Team Jouda t-shirt with all my sponsors on there, my last name as well, and and I'm making an order right now as well, so hit me up if you want a t-shirt as well.
What advice would you like to give an aspiring boxer right now? A girl, a guy, doesn't matter. They want to be where you are one day or be a pro. What's something that you'd like to impart to them if they were to ask you?
I mean, what I would definitely give them advice is that I know it looks tough, maybe or hard, even just boxing, you just say it seems very foreign, but it's something that can be learned like everything else. I'd recommend you just try it, step into any kind of gym, or even look on YouTube, like how to train boxing. There's a lot of places where you can learn, and they're always available to you. Just reach me if you even want me to hit you up with some more info or details. But it's a great skill and asset that you can never like unlearn once you've learned it. That's what I would recommend to everybody who would even think about it or wants to get involved.
It's a sweet science.
That's exactly it.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Collective Journey. If you or somebody you know would like to be on the show, hit us up on any of our social media. We are Collective Journey on Facebook. We are Collective Journey on YouTube. We are Collective_Journey on Instagram. And always remember, this is not just my adventure, but it's yours as well. This is our Collective Journey.